All right, joining me live, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So let's start there. Should there be a more binding, more concrete ethics code for the Supreme Court?
The worst thing could happen is for the United States Senate and the House to determine what cases the Supreme Court hears. The bill that he talked about was killed on the floor of the Senate because it would allow lower court judges to determine when a Supreme Court justice should be recused. It was a constitutional overreach. They're trying to micromanage the Roberts Court. They're trying to destroy Alito and Thomas because they don't like the fact they're conservative judges. I like Chris, but in his world, the people over there are part of a political team that when Democrats fail at the ballot box, people over there will fix the problem from a liberal perspective. Donald Trump changed the court. They're squealing like stuck pigs because the Supreme Court no longer is a political body. It is actually looking at the Constitution and making constitutionally sound decisions versus political decisions. That's the problem liberals have with the court.
So the president, as you know, blasted them a couple of days ago at this fundraiser. He said they're completely out of kilter. And a lot of pundits think that is a winning argument for him. Jennifer Rubin, writing over at the Washington Post, says the more focus on the Supreme Court, the better for Democrats. The court is broken, unpopular, and in dire need of reform. Biden knows it and should make court reform a key campaign issue. He even suggested in the remarks that the court is thinking about making IVF illegal or taking away protections for IVF?
So if Democrats can't convince you that there's something bad wrong with the court, they're going to lose because most Americans believe that they're not safer under President Biden than they were Trump. Chris Coons, a dear friend, said that there's a good case to be made that you're safer today than you were when President Trump was president. If you believe that, you shouldn't be allowed to drive. That's silly. That's dangerously wrong. The border is beyond broken. You have wars in Ukraine. You have the Mideast on fire. When it comes to enforcing the law, Joe Biden has been beyond reckless. He's taken a parole statute that's limited in nature and has given 1 million people parole when on average Trump and Biden's administration gave 5,600 people parole. Laken Riley's murderer was paroled because they had lack of capacity in El Paso. They let him out under the parole statute because they were full. There's nothing in the statute that says you can go because you're full, and he killed this lady. On and on and on, all of these women who've been raped and murdered have one thing in common. The people that killed them, raped them, and murdered them were in our custody and let go, I think, illegally. So Joe Biden better hope and pray there's presidential immunity, because when he allowed the killer of Laken Riley to be released on parole because lack of capacity, I think he's subject not only to lawsuit, but criminal prosecution if there's not presidential immunity.
Plus, I talked about with Senator Coons, that's a small number of people. I mean, obviously, most people are coming here. They want a better life. They want opportunity. The ACLU, in praising this latest move by the president, allowing people who are here, they're married to American citizens, said this: the policy keeps committed, loving families together, which strengthens all of our communities. It's popular with voters. The act by the president is the type of humane and common sense action that has made America stronger. The vice president said the same thing. We want to keep families that already exist or together.
From the ACLU point of view, that's true. From the average American's point of view, what Biden did is a disaster. He took a can of gasoline and he poured it on a fire. He unilaterally gave 500,000 people legal status, calling it parole in place. There's nothing in our law. He's the most lawless president ever on immigration, Biden is. There's nothing in our law called parole in place. There's nothing in our law allows him to forgive student loans. If you're out there working and didn't go to college, Joe Biden's forgiving student loans and you're paying for them. This is beyond lawless and beyond dangerous. So the idea is spreading around the world. Biden just gave amnesty legally to 500,000 people. Maybe I should keep coming. The reason the border is broken is Biden chose to overturn every policy Trump had. We had the most secure border in December 2020, the most lawless border now because of policy changes by Biden. And it's not a small deal, it's a big deal. The largest number of people on the terrorist watch list came in last year, only to be exceeded this year. I've never been more worried about a 9/11 than I am now, originating from a broken border started by a terrible decision to withdraw in Afghanistan.
So,
the world is on fire, folks, and Biden's not going to fix it.
Okay, so Why haven't you guys fixed it? That's what he says.
You don't.
Right over here in the Capitol, that you guys know the problem, you agree there's a problem, and you haven't fixed it.
You know who I am? I was in the Gang of Eight.
I remember.
The bill they introduced was a joke when it came to parole. Biden has paroled 1 million people in this country illegally, in my view. Trump and Obama presidencies, 5,600 people paroled based on 2 limited factors. The bill had nothing to do with parole. It allowed 5,000 people a day to come. That just incentivizes more illegal immigration. The border was secure. The wall was almost finished, and Joe Biden issued 96 executive orders changing remain in Mexico. Folks, the reason we're overrun now is because of the policy choices of Joe Biden. He could fix this without any congressional action. He chooses not to because he's an open borders president.
Okay, I will say for the record, because we've had your friend Senator Langford on the show who said that 5,000, once you hit that in a week, everything closes down, nobody after that. You guys can debate that.
Well, you're going to get 4,999 every day.
Okay, well, let's talk about foreign policy, because there's a lot brewing between the White House and Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. Ahead of his speech coming here on Capitol Hill, Politico reports this. The headline, no one knows what he's going to say. White House fears are mounting about his visit. Senator Chris Murphy said he's only about himself, and they're worried that he's going to come here and criticize our American president for not supporting them enough. They've been very public about that. Should you welcome a foreign leader to come speak on the floor in the House when you know possibly they're going to go after our sitting president?
This is just not a foreign leader. It is the leader of Israel, our best friend in the region, one of our best friends in the world. Israel is surrounded by Islamic extremists who want to cut their throats literally. And here's what you need to understand. All those people that want to kill Israel want to kill you, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. So I will welcome him here. Here's what bothers me the most. Slow walking weapons to Israel makes the war go on longer. We need to be all in helping Israel, give them the weapons they need to win a war they can't afford to lose. Hamas says they'll keep doing it again and again and again until they're destroyed. I believe Hamas. The great Satan's Iran, who's activating Hezbollah. So the administration's tried to use weapons in Ukraine and Israel to micromanage wars. They've tried to give Ukraine just enough to stay in the fight, not to win. They've been slow on artillery, slow on F-16, slow on tanks. Now they're slow with Israel. But I got a call just a few minutes ago. The Israelis say they see some progress, but I promise you this, when we come back, there will be oversight on the weapons delivery systems to Israel. Congress has voted in a bipartisan way to give Israel the bombs and the missiles they need to win a war they can't afford to lose. And we will be looking over Biden's shoulder to see if he's honoring the commitments made by Congress. The fact we're having this debate emboldens Hamas. The fact that we will not sanction the International Criminal Court for charging the Israeli Prime Minister and Defense Minister as war criminals is outrageous. Every time Biden does this, it juices up the terrorists. They see this as a separation between Israel and the United States, and it makes the war go on longer, and it's aiding and abetting the enemy even though they don't want to.
Keep us updated on those phone calls, Senator. Good to see you.
I will.
Thanks for coming with us live.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.